Mahesh stood staring at the rough sea, rippling silver under the dark moonlit night, his mind in a turmoil. The misty spray of seawater pricked the bleeding wounds on his face, arms, sending shooting, burning, and painful sensation across his body. The frustrated and physically and emotionally and mentally abused Mahesh had decided to end his life. His whole life moved in fast forward in front of his eyes. Images of his teenage daughters and each and every good moment of his childhood flashed before his eyes until memories of a few years after his marriage stood gaping at him and moved across his mind's eye. Mahesh may not have looked like a Milton-born hero, but he had a charming personality and was loved by all his friends and colleagues. Like any other person, Mahesh too had dreams of having a loving family of his own. A couple of years into marriage and children, he became a victim of domestic violence in the hands of his wife. He had married a divorcee from a lower middle class family out of compassion. But unfortunately, when he married her, her family had hidden the fact that she possessed narcissistic personality disorder, the reason of her first unsuccessful marriage. Respect for women kept him from raising his hands on her, and love for his children kept him from divorcing her. He always believed that a day would come when his wife would love him for who he was and they would live happily ever after. Coming from a lower middle class family, Mahesh's wife was a woman who always dreamt of a husband who would look like a film star, would be rich, and would shower all his wealth and money on her. Though he climbed the career ladder and eventually held a senior position in a prestigious multinational company that required him to travel across the globe, his wife remained dissatisfied. Over the years, due to extreme stress, Mahesh's blood pressure had shot up, resulting in stroke in both the eyes, damaging the nerves that led him to lose central vision. With the passing of each year, his wife's abusive behavior increased by the day. She would go into a rage over small matters and turn into a beast from a human. She was of the notion that she was the most beautiful woman in the world. Her wants were unending. Money, branded clothes, and luxury were more important to her than her own husband and father of their children. When enraged, Mahesh's wife never had control over her actions and attacked him with whatever came in her hands, be it a knife, scissors, pots and pans, belts, cords, whatever. Mahesh was vulnerable because of his diminishing eyesight. He could never gauge when he was hit and what he was hit with. The daughters grew up traumatized watching such domestic violence and abuse on their father, which affected their mental health. In spite of the abuses, Mahesh tried to fulfill his wife's materialistic wishes, hoping to bring some peace at home, but her greed was never ending. One thought that kept bothering him was, why did she marry him? What was the reason? What did she want? Was she expecting her husband to look like a film star, a filmy hero, a person who is loaded with wealth and property to shower all his money on her? Mahesh was just a normal human being who wanted to live a normal life like any other person, having a loving wife and beautiful children. How could he change his looks magically? He had feelings too. What about his likes and desires? That fateful day, and emotionally, physically, and mentally abused Mahesh decided to end his life. He had lost all strength to fight and will to live. He was in an extreme depressed state of mind, with deep injuries of an attack by knife and scissors on his shoulders, back, arms, and face. He stepped out of the house that evening. A bleeding Mahesh stood staring at the rough sea rippling silver under the moonlit night, his mind in a turmoil. He saw that the water was not so deep, but deep enough to get drowned. The clouds were angry, growling, and a storm was stirring up. He was thinking of switching off all his mobile phones, emptying his pockets of all the money and throwing them in the sea before ending his life. Suddenly, he heard a voice from behind him that jerked him out of his trance. "Sahib, can you help me with some money?" Mahesh turned around slowly, trying to focus his vision to the source of the voice. a poor man stood in worn-out clothes. He was not a beggar. "My baby is not well," the man said in a trembling voice. Mahesh put his hands in one of his trouser pockets and found some 10 rupee notes, which he silently gave the poor man. The man took it and moved a little ahead. When Mahesh put his hand in the other pocket, he found some 50 rupee notes. He immediately called back the poor man and told him, "I gave you 10 rupee notes by mistake. Please take these 50 rupee notes too." The poor man tried returning the 10 rupee notes, but Mahesh told him to keep those and take the 50 rupee notes too. Gratefully, the poor man took the money and before leaving said, "Sahib, I want to tell you something." "Yes, what is it?" "It's going to rain very heavily now. You go home. Go home. Go home and take care of your child. She needs you." Somehow Mahesh got disturbed by the poor man's reply and had a change of mind. Instead of going ahead with his planned drastic step, he went to an unknown remote place as he did not want anyone, especially his family members, to find him. He needed to think clearly, but he was extremely disturbed that night. What the poor man told him kept echoing in his mind. "Go home. Take care of your child. She needs you." He was thinking that had he been surrounded by people who truly loved him, he would have got great support. Next day, he somehow managed to contact his closest friend from a public phone booth and decided to go home instead of ending his life. The poor man's words kept coming back to him. "Go home, take care of your child. She needs you." On reaching home, he found his daughter fretting and terribly disturbed because of the bitter environment in the house, father missing, coupled with the sour breakup from her college sweetheart. She was so disturbed and depressed that she was thinking of going out somewhere and ending her life. Weeping profusely, Mahesh hugged his daughter. Consoling her, he said, "Don't worry, my darling. Whatever has to happen will happen. Challenges, failures, pain are thrown at us to help us learn from it and grow. Raise your head high and move ahead in life. Always remember that your Father is with you and will always be there for you." Dear friends, the cause of narcissistic personality disorder is unknown, but most likely it involves a combination of genetic and environmental factors. The disorder needs to be diagnosed by a professional. Treatment involves talk therapy. Treatment can help, but it cannot be cured in maximum cases. Being in a relationship with a narcissist is extremely challenging. Try talking to them. Take them to a professional, not only for one visit, but several visits over years as far as possible. It's important to not make excuses for their narcissism and the hurt they are causing you. Try protecting yourself as you matter to your other family members and your near and dear ones too. Your physical health depends vastly on your mental health. Knowing what you want from life can help you let go of unhelpful or unrealistic fantasies and relationships instead of deciding to commit suicide. Your relationship should be established on mutual respect and care for one another, which is not possible with a narcissist. It is not worth giving up your precious life for an abusive relationship. Your mental health matters. Mental health is just as important as physical health. Good mental health helps you cope with stress and can improve your quality of life. Thank you for your time. I'm Alaknanda Pramanik, your Supermom, master storyteller and author. Do like and share my video with all those who will benefit from it. See you in my next video. Stay tuned.